Welcome to the Search the Scriptures podcast, where we dive into Scripture and provide the explanation of it in the most accurate light that we can. Search the Scriptures is a podcast that is dedicated primarily to the Christian, challenging our brothers and sisters along with ourselves to see if we have set aside the commands of God to set up our own traditions. To do this, we use Scripture to explain Scripture. Please join us on this journey. Okay, so we are in 1 Kings chapter 5. It's going to be a quick one, like I said a little bit before. And so let's jump right into it, Mary Berry. So 1 Kings chapter 5, just verse 1 says, Hiram, king of Tyre, sent his servants to Solomon when he heard that he had been anointed king in his father's place. For Hiram had always been friends with David. So here we start off here in 1 Kings chapter 5, talking about Hiram here. And he wasn't just David's friend. The translation is more like they had like a formal, almost political treaty. And we'll take a look at, and it looks like he wants to continue this with his son Solomon. Tyre is basically a commercial powerhouse. This is not necessarily a threat militarily to Israel, but they are a commercial powerhouse, and their expertise was in trade, in lumber, fine crafts, things like that. They were a maritime, so they were on the water, coastal. They're a coastal area, and Israel was a land-based kingdom, so agriculture and things like that. And so they had this treaty going between David and King Hiram of Tyre, and so that's the introduction of at least 1 Kings chapter 5. Questions or comments on this so far? What you got, G. White?
So Tyre is like the modern day Saudis.
As far as, what do you mean?
So they had plenty of money and coastal.
Oh yeah, they're coastal. Yeah, they're coastal. They weren't great in agriculture just because their land didn't really allow for it. But yeah, they had money. They had lots of being coastal, they had ships and everything else coming through there. And so yes.
You ever had Saudi Arabian apples?
Have I what?
Ever had Saudi Arabian apples?
I have not.
Me either, but I know they make oil.
Good point. A good point. All right. So this they had David and Hiram, they had this treaty, and so he sends down this delegation with to basically greet Solomon, and it looks like to try to continue this. Any other questions or comments on this? Good point though, G. White. All right, let's move to that next one, Mary Berry. So 1 Kings chapter 5 verses 2 through 6 says, Solomon sent this message to Hiram. You know, my father David was not able to build a temple for the name of Yahweh, his God. This was because of the warfare all around him until the Lord put his enemies under his feet. The Lord my God has now given me rest all around. There is no enemy or crisis. So I plan to build a temple for the name of Yahweh, my God, according to what the Lord promised my father David. I will put your son on your throne in your place, and he will build a temple for my name. Therefore, command that cedars from Lebanon be cut down for me. My servants will be with your servants, and I will pay your servants wages according to whatever you say. For you know that not a man among us knows how to cut timber like the Sidonians. So Solomon responds to these servants or these officials that Hiram has sent down, and he speaks to them. He acknowledges the close relationship to David, because he says, my father David was not able to build a temple. So Hiram apparently knew about this. Hiram apparently knew about this temple that David wanted to build, because Solomon says this. He says, this. And so he acknowledges this close relationship, and he says this temple for the name of Yahweh. Later on in Kings is going to talk about God being not being able to be contained in a physical building, right? So here it says his name will be there. So I guess like his presence, but it can't fully contain him like idols that are kept in pagan temples. Later on, Solomon said, even after, like, I mean, even the thought of this huge, or I think before this actually, talking about this temple, he says, not even the highest heavens can contain God. And so he, though he will, that will be his presence will be there, it can't fully contain him. So he kind of like makes this distinction between God and idols where they are fully contained in these pagan temples. And then he goes on to say, God has not given me rest. So all the conflicts of David, all those wars, all the conflicts of the past are over. I have no external threats and I have no internal threats. Remember, he had some internal threats from his own brother, and that was dealt with. So he has nothing. He has rest from all sides. And so what he's asking for are cedars from Lebanon. So they were legendary for a few different reasons. They are durable. They're resistant to rot and insect infestations. I was reading up on this. The size and quality of them, they're very tall, they're straight, and they're perfect for large scale construction. So like a temple or something like that. And they have a pleasing aroma. They have a nice fragrance to them. And so and there's a prestige to it because of these qualities and because of the rarity of it. They have a prestige to them. So he asked for these cedars from Lebanon, and he also said that his servants will also work with the Sidonians or the Sidonians. He said specifically because they were better skilled at cutting timber. He says they were better than my people. The Israelites, they were farmers and shepherds. They weren't necessarily skilled at cutting wood and felling trees. And so it says the Sidonians are just much better than they were. So they made this pact, or he's trying to make this case that, hey, let's work together on this temple. Questions or comments on this so far? All righty. We almost done on this one, actually. Next one, Mary Berry. 1 Kings chapter 7. Sorry. 1 Kings chapter 5, verses 7 through 12. Did it move, Mary? There it is. It says, when Hiram heard Solomon's words, he greatly rejoiced and said, may the Lord be praised today. He has given David a wise son to be over this great people. Then Hiram sent a reply to Solomon saying, I have heard your message. I will do everything you want regarding the cedar and cypress timber. My servants will bring the logs down from Lebanon to the sea, and I will make them into rafts to go by sea to the place you indicate. I will break them apart there, and you can take them away. You then can meet my needs by providing my household with food. So Hiram provided Solomon with all the cedar and cypress timber he wanted. And Solomon provided Hiram with 100,000 bushels of wheat as food for his household and 110,000 gallons of oil from crushed olives. Solomon did this for Hiram year after year. The Lord gave Solomon wisdom as he had promised him. There was peace between Hiram and Solomon, and the two of them made a treaty. So some interesting things here. First, Hiram was very happy about this, and then he praised God. Now, this is a pagan king. He worshiped other gods, Baal and others like this. But here he is praising the God of David, the God of Solomon. So, but he's very happy about this situation. And he's eager to partner in this project because he received something in this. He didn't just get, Solomon says, I'll pay them whatever you want me to pay them, I'll pay them. But he says, instead of payment, this what I want, instead of monetary or gold or silver, he wants provisions. He wants food. So remember that Israel has a surplus of grain and oil. Tyre is a coastal, it's like a narrow coastal strip, and it's rich in timber and trade goods, but it does not have good agriculture land. And so they had something that benefited one another. So they made this treaty that benefits the two kingdoms. Questions or comments on this so far? What you got, G. White?
So I've got to looking up Tyre to see exactly where it's located. It's in southwest Lebanon. My question is how they both have access to the same Mediterranean Sea. Why are they doing so much better than Jerusalem?
Honestly, I can't say. That's an excellent question. I did not look into that actually. But it's a great question. They do, I think I want to say Israel's borders stretch to the Mediterranean Sea, but for whatever reason, the best of those trees of Lebanon, they were just well known for that. In fact, I want to say to this day, it's like part of for Tyre, that's like what's the word I'm looking for? Like what did I see? It was on their flag, I think. The trees of Lebanon was on their flag. Like they were well known for that.
Okay.
But yeah, good question. I wish I had an answer for that. I don't have it not right away anyway. Justin, you have your hand up?
Yeah, it could be all about development. Like if you look at today's way of going about things, like Africa is sitting on trillions of dollars worth of oil, and that's just an example. But yet they're not able to pull it out the ground or be able to process it and develop it and move it like the US or Iran or Iraq. You know what I'm saying? It could be all about development that they could never solve certain problems. That's what I'm getting at.
You might be right, because like I say, the Israelites, they were known for lumberjacking. I mean, they're known as shepherds and farmers. So maybe you might be right. It just could be just that's just what they were good at. In fact, like I say, Solomon would actually say that. He says he says we don't have any people as skilled as the Sidonians when it comes to lumberjacking. And so it's not that they couldn't do it, it's just that they were just more skilled at it. Yeah, great comments on this though. So yeah, we have this treaty is going on, this national treaty between these two different kingdoms, and it's beneficial for both of them. But we're about to get into something that is going to be really interesting here. Let's go to the next one, Mary Berry. This is actually the end of it. So 1 Kings chapter 5, verses 13 through 18 says, Then King Solomon drafted forced laborers from all Israel. The labor force numbered 30,000 men. He sent 10,000 to Lebanon each month in shifts. 1 month they were in Lebanon, 2 months they were at home. Adoniram was in charge of the forced labor. Solomon had 70,000 porters and 80,000 stone cutters in the mountains, not including his 3,300 deputies in charge of the work. They ruled over the people doing the work. The king commanded them to quarry large, costly stones to lay the foundation of the temple with the dressed stones. So Solomon's builders and Hiram's builders, along with the Gibeonites, quarried the stone and prepared the timber and stone for the temple's construction. So here we have some forced labor here. Solomon is actually the first Israelite king to impose a nationwide forced labor on the Israelite population itself. David did this prior, but not to the Israelites. It was some of the people he conquered. They became forced laborers, but this is the first time that an Israelite king had conscripted labor on his own people. Now, in even saying this ended up being an issue later on, but even saying this, it was still said that the people were happy. Like they were still happy with the way the kingdom was ran. But this right here, they didn't like it. But again, that kingdom, they love that kingdom. So they get 1 month on, 2 months off. Adoniram that is mentioned here, he's over forced labor. He's going to become very important later. When it comes down to after King Solomon dies and his son takes over, this is going to be a very important person that pops up. And so it says, but what I do want to point out here is that this is not just Israelites building this temple. It's Israelites and foreigners. Justin said, sounds like oil field shifts. Yeah, I mean, if you have to do forced labor, if this is the way it works, like if unless I'm missing something here, where you got 1 month on and then 2 months off, that's not that bad. Now what his son tries to do later, literally just for the sake of pride, he increases it like crazy. even though the elders had advised him against it. And so yeah, it ends up breaking up the kingdom again, is what's going to happen later. But it's literally brought from this, the forced labor. That's what actually starts the whole situation of the kingdom being split up. But yeah, 1 month on, 2 months off. Don't get me wrong, I'm sure that month on is it may be pretty tough. I'm pretty sure it is. That's when you're sent up to Lebanon to help up there. And then, like I said, you get 2 months home. Questions or comments on this? But what I do want to point out, though, is that both Israelites and foreigners are responsible for building this temple, this amazing, magnificent temple that's about to become a thing. Not just Israelites helped out in this or built this. It was also foreigners that were helping out in this. And I just thought that was very, really interesting, because later on with Paul in the New Testament, Paul is actually accused of bringing a Gentile into the temple. It's because of the way that they feel about Gentiles. It's also what the law says about things about the temple and Gentiles. But I just find it interesting that Gentiles actually had a hand in laying this the foundation of the temple. But that's actually how we have in 1 Kings chapter 5 before it starts to get crazy. We see him starting to interact very wisely, because it says that this was done through I'm looking at this right. Yeah, it says that this was done through God's wisdom. That treaty was set up through God's wisdom, but it's also going to dealing with foreign people and foreign women, to be specific, is going to be the key to his downfall. And we'll see that start to play out pretty soon. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face shine on you and be gracious to you. The Lord turn his face toward you and give you peace.